Time to talk playoff. Ohio State is 8-0. They will be 8-0 when the first college football rankings come out on Tuesday, November 5th. There's another week after this of play, but Ohio State is on its second bye. So this is the resume that the committee is going to evaluate, regardless sort of anybody else. And we know Oklahoma lost on Saturday. Nathan, does this feel like a number one resume?
Oh, 100%. I've been voting him number one in the AP poll, but that doesn't necessarily what the committee is going to go by. There's a lot more metrics and things that go into it. But when you look across the board at all of those metrics, whether it's the margin of victory that they beat people, whether it's offensive and defensive, just pure scoring, whether it's their strength of schedule, which is actually sneakily pretty solid. Look at what teams like Cincinnati and Indiana have done since Ohio State got done kind of destroying them. The resume is there, and I think it's a more complete resume than any other team in the country right now. I don't understand what formula they would use to have a team other than Ohio State be number one right now.
So they've got three guys that we just made a case for why they should be in the Heisman candidate, and you can go check the video on YouTube if you want to see that. They've got the best defense in the country by far. Their offense is one of the best offenses in the country. Outside of that fluky Florida Atlantic game where they scored 28 points in the first quarter, but then they also gave up 21 points for the game. Only one team has been in double figures against them, and that's Michigan State, and they still blew those guys out. Nobody is competing with this team, and you can look at all those other teams and who they may or may not have played on their schedule. They have been in competitive games. We keep saying that Ohio State is going to be in a competitive game, and they keep blowing teams out. This was supposed to be of all the teams that we thought were going to be their first tough game, we thought this would be their tough game. At least other people around the country did, whether Wisconsin came here undefeated or not. Well, they just blew them out, 38-7 today. They went to Nebraska and blew them out. I thought they'd lose to Nebraska this year. They didn't do that either. Michigan State was supposed to be a tough game because of their defense. They blew those guys out too on primetime television. They're passing every test. Right now, their defense is the best in the country. Their offense is one of the best teams in the country. They have to be the number one in the poll just based off of all those factors.
Not in the poll, in the committee. Polls are stupid. No offense to you, no offense to me who voted for a long time. The committee loves balance. And they love to sit around and be old-time football people and say, Chet Chase Young, I remember in 1970. There's a lot of guys for this team where you can sit around and tell football stories. So they have elite athletes, and they have balance on both sides of the ball. I think they will be number one in the first playoff rankings. And then I think it's probably the LSU-Alabama winner the week after will then take that spot. Yeah. And then Ohio State can take it back by beating Penn State later in the year. But I think they are putting on the field metrically and eye test, and they do love their eye test. They are eye testing through the roof. They're going to be number one. Nathan, Steven, Doug, see you later for cleveland.com.